Hey Joe, guess what? We're
Oh,
live.
oh, look at that. All right. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 168 of Fans of Power. I am Joe Amato, and I'm here with Nasty Nate, Nathan Kennedy. And Tyler will be back next week. Didn't want people freaking out because I know everybody was thinking, well, I thought you guys were
Maybe,
supposed to be taking.
maybe.
Nah,
We
I'm
we
sure
we
he will be.
we'll see.
Yeah, well, my video is just as crappy as kind of ever. I thought it was going to be a little smoother, but we'll see how it goes as we start doing this. And I will acknowledge everybody here in the chat room, and I appreciate you guys being here too, especially since it was unexpected. And I know Super Bowl, some people might be watching that, but I did want to thank everybody for all those, the kind words as of from what happened last week. And I would individually like to name every single person, but there were so many that if I forgot somebody, I'd feel horrible. So I'm sure just me saying that, I do appreciate it. It's been a long kind of 8 months. Some of you guys know, just some personal things going on and health wise stuff. But thank God, knock on wood, everything has finally got back to normal. It was weird because like last week was just as everything was getting better. And of course, Tyler, he's just kind of got burnt out about all the toy talk. And he's kind of, he was upset, as you know, that it seemed like some of the episodes where he was hoping there'd be more numbers didn't get as high, but sometimes talk about toys and that would really get high. So he was just feeling a little burnt out. But like I said, he's going to be back next week. But I'm finally back to what you'd want to call my energetic self, if that's even possible, because I'm usually more, I'm always pumped up, but I'm starting to post more like I used to. I'm getting caught back up on my custom. So I wanted to thank everybody for the well wishes. I'll let you say something, then I'll acknowledge the chat room.
I um I just overwhelming response, not only during that episode in the chat room, the guys were reacting and telling us to take care of ourselves and everything, but also just receiving messages on Facebook after the fact. Uh, the amount of you guys that reached out to us and it's like, hey, we like what you do, but we care about you guys, to take care of yourselves. And we've stressed this enough when Tyler and I did capes and commentaries, and then when I did that super long video game stream, that drunk stream and Mario Kart and all that stuff. I want to say this specifically because people were kind of under the impression that we were quitting somehow, and I'm like, that was never the case. We were never going to quit. It was. And I know some people now are like, you guys said last week you were taking a break. There wasn't going to be anything this week. But, Super7 announced stuff. I hit up Joe and I'm like, do you want to talk about it? And Joe was like, you read my mind. We have to. I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
So here we are.
which I will get to saying something about that in a second. But first, let me say hello to Zentron, Delvis78, Grimbot, Tags Media. I'm still scrolling down. Please hold on 1 second. Jeff Prime, Fedmon, and I'm still going. And if I miss your favorite blockhead, Eric Amon. Okay, all right. JSP. I hope I don't miss somebody, because if I do, you can get them. And okay, I think I got everybody. If I miss somebody, I apologize. And of course, Nathan can get my back to do that.
Did you say Tags Media Animations?
I did, and I said it very quickly. But
Okay.
Nishanti Desai, Nishant Desai. Oh, I hope I said your name right. I apologize if I screwed up. But yes, hello, and I think you're new, first time here in the chat room. So thank you for joining us. But you know what's funny is, yeah, I was like telling Tyler, I was like, hey, you think you might want to do the show? We might talk about
Yeah.
Super7. I was like, what a thing to do. It's like Tyler's like, you know what? I'm burnt out. I'm tired of talking about those toys. And then here comes some reveals like, hey, you want to do it, Tyler? It's like, talk about trying to push a guy over the edge. That would have pretty much did it.
No. Even Tyler told me, he was like, yeah, Joe, I don't know why he did it, but he hit me up and he was like, hey, these toys were nice. You want to talk about it? And in typical Tyler fashion, she's like, no, I'm taking a break. Like, just leave me alone.
And like I said, don't get Tyler wrong. Tyler, of course, loves the figures just as much as us, but sometimes just talking about them, it burns him out, because knowing some of the figures that was shown, yes, he said some of these, some look good, and then he has opinions on others, in which that's when we're going to want everybody here in the chat room too. We definitely really want to hear your opinions on these figures and reveals that they showed, because it obviously gives Super7 hopefully an idea of what fans are kind of wanting as well, especially if there's any critiques to the figures. So, okay, first, it was like hit on my wall. Of course, people were tagging me. And the figures that I seen, apparently, I guess, I didn't know they were leaked, because I sat there and made a collage and was sharing everywhere. And some were leaked early photos, but it's pretty much out in the ether, so everybody has seen them. But we'll discuss some of these figures. Now, first, we're going to start off with Prince Adam. They showed a vintage style Prince Adam. And Redline, thank you for joining us. I think I just acknowledged. Okay. All right. They showed Prince Adam, vintage style. Now, okay, here's the thing. It's like they said this is based off of filmation style as seen on TV. But there's always been something just off with that vintage He-Man head. Meaning, even the vintage He-Man they did, they try to get some of the details, but the dead eyes, and let me explain this. The dead black eyes, yes, that works for the old vintage style figures up here. But since they're doing things based off of filmation, you got to give whites into those eyes, a little white to the mouth, liven it up to where it looks like the cartoon. But the thing is, they showed this Prince Adam. Sure enough, he has the same dead eyes. And not only that, his hair was too dark, his skin's too dark. That needs to be lightened up. If they could lighten up the skin tone, get the whites to the eyes, lighten his hair to be blonder, as Grimbot is seen as well, and darken up that vest, he could be perfect. And this is what I mean. They're lacking detail in facial, the expressions on a face that should have it, and then things that shouldn't have details have it. And what am I talking about? They showed some of the variants, or I'm sorry, redecos, whatever you want to call it. They casted Teela in clear blue, like she was in one of the episodes where she was turned into the Ice Age comic when she was turned to ice. And then Man-at-Arms when in Dragon's Gift, he was turned basically into just crystal. But the thing is, they painted eyebrows on Man-at-Arms, put in pupils, and put a mustache that painted. I was like, okay, you added details to a character that in that cartoon, there was none of that there. For Teela, you painted white eyes and white lips. She didn't have that. So why are you adding the details to the figures that shouldn't have it, and the ones that should have don't? If anybody needs the eye details and mouth, it's Prince Adam. It makes it pop so much more. I'll pass it to you in a second, Nathan, so you can give your thoughts. But I posted it on my wall, and almost everybody that's seen it agreed. And I'm not expecting everybody to say, Joe, I agree with you. Because if you don't, that's fine. But most people said, I see what you mean. It makes his face pop. He looks a little closer to the cartoon and not just like so much dead eyes. So go ahead, Nathan.
I don't understand. I mean, one, you're trying to include these variants and pass them off as like, hey, you remember this episode, right? But then it's not even accurate to what was portrayed in the episode itself. So, I mean, doesn't that just defeat the purpose of what you're trying to do? If it's not accurate, like what is the thought process behind that? Why add those touches and leave it out of other things? I don't understand.
Right. That's what I don't get. You're right. See, the thing is, for those two figures of what we just said of Man-at-Arms and Teela, where they're just statues, basically. They appeared only those one times. Why are they getting the extras, whereas Prince Adam, the character who is in every single episode, who should have these details, doesn't? It's a literal right over your head. There is no logic to it.
I mean, I understand like reusing molds that you've used recently, but to like just really dig this far down and to do that and also not even do it correctly, like I don't. What?
It's just there's kind of, like I said, there really is no logic. And don't get me wrong, I like that they're doing stuff like that. Is everybody going to like the crystal and the ice forms of them? Maybe not, but some people still love it. So it's still cool because, like you said, yes, it's obviously known that, yeah, you're going to reuse the molds if you can and do some of these, color variants or see-through variants just to obviously get some money back. But if you're going to do it, like I said, at least trying to make that a little accurate. Lay back on the paint decos and add it to the one who does need it. And also, you're going to get a gold He-Man as well, as like in the shaping staff when he got turned into like a gold statue. Some people, but go ahead.
No, I'm reacting to what you're saying. I'm just like, are they also doing the thing with this too, where it's not even an individual, like you can purchase them individually, you have to buy it as a wave, or is it individual?
Well, that's the good thing, just to let you know. Yeah, I believe all of these are individual, and I think you have till February 28th to get them. You can go to their store. They're $20 each. You don't have to get a whole lump of them to get any of those. So that's what's good. It's your choice. If you like it, get it. If you don't get it.
Well, at least they're not forcing that into like waves with everyone else. That's like you have to pay a large sum of money, but you also get this variant that you probably don't care for.
Exactly. So this is your choice, and the people that do the pre-orders just get them earlier than those who don't, because don't worry. It's not like if you don't pre-order, you're not going to get these. You will. It'll be a little bit later than the people that pre-ordered. That's the bonus, the benefit, the luxury of doing it. You get them earlier. So there's a lot of these, and these are the things that, like we said, would drive Tyler insane, thinking, okay, instead of getting new figures, we're just getting He-Man painted and then a clear casted Man-at-Arms and a clear casted Teela. Those are the things that could drive people insane, especially Tyler would have been off the show
Well,
right now
I
in the
think
first minute.
I think you and I and everyone here have kind of generated like how Tyler would respond to such news. I think we all have that idea in our head. Like knowing him for years and thinking about it, I know exactly. He would probably flip a table right now.
Yeah, he would have been done. He would have been like, I mean, that's what I mean. Tell us something to make him snack. And also, Zen Brown, thank you for joining us. If I missed somebody again, apologize. But now we'll get to the others that they did show. Now, we've seen Trapjaw, we've seen Merman. Both look great. Look, Filmation. I mean, they look like the cartoon. Of course, you know, there could be some things says about colors or whatever details. I know that always comes up, but still look good. But for me, the one that does look good is Orko, because beyond Ram Man, that when I was a kid, I told you Ram Man for the vintage figure was one of my biggest letdowns. I was like, God, he looks nothing like that amazing cross-sell art on the back of the cards. It was like, what is this guy? When I got Orko, I admit, I thought, what? Why is he so big? Why does his hat look like that? Why does everything look like this? Sure, did have a cool gimmick where you pull the string and he zims around, but he never thrilled me. I told you I used to use that little Orko eraser for my actual Orko because he was more accurate towards size. But this, I give it to him. Yes, this looks good. This is something that looks completely different. It's not. Thank God they didn't take that original Orko up there and say, "Hey, let's make a mold and cast him out." So thank God, I give him props on that because he does.
Honestly, it's not surprising that they wouldn't have done that at this rate, but it's good that they sized him down and made him accurate.
Yeah, which is good, because when looking at the original Orko, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's nostalgia, you like them, but I've never been a super fan. I mean, that looks like a figure that nobody even took an effort. I don't even know how that passed. If Grimbot or anybody knows of any of the behind-the-scenes stuff of the old vintage figures, I wonder how that went past, you know, all the eyes thinking, hey, that looks great. I mean, did they have a contest saying, okay, everybody, you got 10 minutes. Let's see who can sculpt the Orko the quickest, and whoever we like, we're going to use that as a figure. Because it looks like there was no effort into that figure looking like the cartoon at all.
Well, they've done that in like all kinds of different properties. They always have like smaller figures that are just misproportioned and don't work well. Things that come to mind to me, I think of the real Ghostbusters line when they did Stay Puft, and he's just basically the same size as everybody else. I'm like, that doesn't make sense to me. I don't know what the thought process was. I mean, probably like obviously cost and things. You don't want to overcharge too much unless it's the play sets, which you would charge more for. But I don't know. I saw that a lot as a kid in lines. I'm like, it was always tough to play with those figures too, because it just didn't make sense in terms of thinking about what you saw in the cartoon as opposed to like trying to reenact that. And it doesn't work because everything's just misproportioned.
No, and it's true. I mean, like I said, you can't win on all of them, but just sometimes that was a doozy. Eric Amon asked me if I'm a Ram Man fan. Oh yeah, I love Ram Man from the mini comics. I love him in the cartoon. I loved him on the cross-sell art, but that figure, just the vintage one, was to me a very big disappointment. And I know there's people that probably loved him, but it wasn't what I was expecting. And again, I'd like to hear in the chat room, you guys, I want to hear your thoughts at least on a lot of the, you know, any of the figures we just mentioned, especially the ones that are redesigned colors and the see-through ones. I mean, are those things you're going to flip over and want? And if you do, that is great. But it's always good to hear the feedback, because then it gives everybody ideas of maybe something that fans are flipping over, or maybe they're thinking, you know what, maybe we could hold back on some things. Not saying it's going to change everybody's minds, but it's just to give an idea. It's like Zen Brown said, not feeling the gold, ice, and crystal figures. So Zen Brown isn't feeling them, but you know, some people might go nuts. But that's what I mean. It's just, I guess, a hit and miss with, you know, the fans. You never know. You can't get everybody to be happy about everything. But like I said, we're keeping it positive. Like I said, we can say constructive stuff without ripping into people. You know what I mean?
Just rip into them, Joe. Just do it. You can be the Tyler on this episode. Just rip into him. Give him hell, Joe. Give him hell.
No. Like I said, no. I mean, you know what I mean. I always keep it like Eric Amon said it's awesome about me, and he said keep an eye on my mailbox. I don't know what he's talking about, but I appreciate that. Jeff Prime says just going to be buying Merman and Trapjaw, and favorite blockhead said a huge Cyclone and Stratos fan. Any figures of those two make me so happy. Well, oh wait, hold on. Oh man, I couldn't speak the first part of Red Line. I don't know if that was French, but I rather enjoyed Ram Man as a kid. since I was bugged that every other character looked exactly the same muscle wise. No, and I get that,
Oh,
Redline. You're right.
Red lines just saying all contraire.
Oh, contrary. Oh, see how dumb I am. I couldn't even read that little thing what you just said. But I'm a moron. But
Well,
oh no,
I did take 3 years of French in high school, and I don't really remember that much of it at all.
I could barely speak English properly with my broken stuff when I speak. So, but yes, I do understand. You're right. Ram Man. It's a refreshing contrast. I just guess in my mind, I was seeing that cross sell art, and I was expecting an even bigger muscle sucker. But you're right about that. It is different from everything because that's what makes looking at a lot of those characters fun. Is when you can see such differences in the characters. But well, speaking of when somebody mentioned right there about Stratos, now there was ones that I didn't know were leaked, but were shown. Everybody's seen them, so it's not like I can avoid not talking about them. But they showed Stratos, vintage style. And who would have thought that Joe actually thought, wow, this looks cool. I liked them. I was like, you know what? If Stratos back then could at least had a weapon, like I said, I might have liked them. So this one, I like, and it shocked the world. Some people thought I was like trying to be a smartass online when I said, hey, look at that Stratos. I like them. And so he's like, what? I don't know if that was Matthew Dutch or who said it. It was like, what are you just joking? I was serious. I liked them. So go ahead, Nathan.
I wish Tyler was present for this, for you to just openly admit that for once. But no, I'm sitting here. The picture that you sent me, all these guys look great. I would like to pick up obviously a Trapjaw. Merman looks cool. Stratos looks nice, and I want to throw it back to you so you can kind of reveal the other figures that were leaked. Which Super
Yes,
7, you and I had this conversation. Super 7 has not officially acknowledged this, but this is
but
this is legit, right?
yeah, it is. It is.
Like it's gonna happen. Like, oh, I mean,
Yeah, it's.
how do you proceed from here? Are they just gonna announce it? It's like, oh yeah, we already know about that. Like,
You know what I'm
I'm
thinking? Almost
surprised that they
probably
haven't
next.
done it already.
I'm
To
thinking at the
be honest,
comic, the Toy Fair or whatever's coming up in a couple weeks or
ah,
something, New York. I think if I'm right about that, I bet they'll show him there. But the other they showed was Buzz Off, and he looks filmation accurate. I think he even had his stinger lance. I think he did. I thought there was a couple things, but Buzz Off, I was like, damn, Buzz Off looks good. And then they showed Shadow Weaver, and that's when I was like, how the hell could you complain about that? We have always wanted a vintage Shadow Weaver. People have been making customs of her in vintage style, including myself, for a while now. But to have an official one, I mean, we'd have pissed our pants if we would have got it back in the day, along with all the rest of the other Evil Horde, if we could have got her in the line. So they showed a vintage Shadow Weaver. I think you've seen her. I don't know what your thoughts are, but she looks great.
I I there was I want to say, who was it Delvis up there at some point in the chat? I'm gonna have to probably just skim through and find it, but it was just like here we go. I think you should all have segments about what you talk about. Tyler seems really into behind the scenes stuff. Joe is up on the figures, and Nate, and then like just a bunch of periods. Bless his heart.
Bless his heart.
No, I think obviously it's cool anytime you guys are able to obtain figures in that scale to go with your vintage figures of ones that were not previously released beforehand. So that's always a plus. There's no negative thing to say, but I don't know who posted on Facebook, but I did see a thing of like what Super 7 shows and what you get, and like the what you get part, they all like their faces were kind of just the finished product seemed a little derpy. So we'll have to see how these guys actually turn out when they are released.
No, and no, that is the thing. I know, especially for classics, it seems like sometimes there's a vast change. At least with vintage, I think they pretty much have stayed mainly. I'm not going to say all the way because I know I might be wrong, and then somebody's going to chew me out in the chat room. But they've stayed pretty close to what they looked like in their early form. But yeah, anytime it's the classics, they put so much love and effort into those prototypes and beautiful paint jobs, and something happens with some of the figures, unfortunately, with maybe the molding process where the faces get slightly distorted. I know a lot of people say they're not a fan of kind of the waxy, shiny look. And then when the eyes get painted, they're kind of weird. I mean, it hasn't happened with all, but it seems like it really happens with the females, unfortunately. And hopefully it's something that can be corrected. They're not out there to try to screw things up with, hey, let's just paint this like a pile of crap. Just something's happening, and hopefully they can do a little more quality control to look at that and hopefully make sure it doesn't happen as much. Because yes, you will see a lot of fans complain. There's a lot of things I absolutely love, but some things with the paint apps in my eyes, I don't know what happens. But yeah, I seen that same photo, and it like they mocked like it wasn't a definite, but I think they showed, and this is what you might get for Shadow Weaver, and they really screwed her face
Yeah,
up in Katrina's.
yeah.
Katrina, but yeah, hopefully it will be better. I just don't know what to say beyond that. But okay, let me get back to some of the vintage ones as well. Oh, and when you were talking about earlier about the things we like, you're right. See, Tyler and I love about all the history of Masters, from the mini comics, cartoons, and books, and everything, of some of the great stories. But yes, when it's a little more passion, he likes a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. Who wrote something? Who did this? Who did that? You know, how many episodes somebody was in. Me, I might get a little more giddy and passionate about merchandise and some of the crazy stuff, or unique pieces of art. But we have a good balance. Like I said, we both have our certain super passions, but then we have that main passion of just the lore and mythos of Masters of the Universe, Princess of Power, New Adventures. And that's what keeps us going every time, every week. So, like I said, next week we should be getting back into the flow. But Delvis had a quick question. Said, Joe, if you were approached to make some of these figures by Super7, would you? Well, of course I would. But see, I know that will probably never happen. I know people that work in the industry, they usually have to have a lot of years. There's probably a lot of experience. I mean, it's not like they're just hiring a Joe Schmo like me off the street. I'm somebody I continue to teach myself. Like I said, I've been doing it for just about 8 years. I never went to school for it. So I still am learning. So I'm not expecting that, hey, I'm the greatest. I know I'm not the greatest. And I doubt they would ever want somebody like me. I have a lot of great ideas, and I'd love if they wanted to feed off of that. And sure, it'd be an honor to actually work on a figure. But I don't think that, I just don't think that could happen. But I appreciate that. It means a lot, you saying that to me. But okay, well, I was going to say something else about some of the vintage ones. Another vintage thing that they showed me that I'm not a fan of, and I want Grimbot to join in to at least tell me what episode. I don't know if they're trying to represent when Orko got pissed and he got evil, and you seen a dark shadow. And I couldn't remember if that's when he was fighting his uncle Montork. But they showed in this upcoming wave we're just talking about a shadowed Orko. And I was like, shadowed Orko? Really? Now you're going to just mold that out and make it just a dark shadowed Orko? I don't get it. And if that's based off an episode of Filmation, it's like, but again, I know that's a way of getting back costs, especially since Orko is a unique character and probably costs more to make that mold. So they probably want to get more money out of that mold. But I don't know if you've seen it. You can give your thoughts, and I'll see what. Oh, wait a second. No, Grimbot said no. It's when the Horde takes the shadow. See, didn't even know. Thank you, Grimbot. But go ahead, Nathan.
I know. I honestly, I have not seen the photo of it, but it goes back into what we said. As it's probably just, oh well, we crafted this mold. Let's get as much money out of it as we can. Tags Media Animation had said earlier that Big Bad Toy Store have pre-orders, and I just want to say again, I am still waiting on my card. By the way, said estimated. It went from estimated December to estimated January, and hey, guess what? It's February, and I still don't have this thing. So I don't know what I'm gonna do. Do I just ride this out? Do I just cancel it? Do I go to eBay and pay a little more? I don't.
Were they the same ones that you got those? Were they the same ones that you got those Funko horror figures through?
I actually, I ended up. I think I ended up canceling from them and just ordered from Amazon at some point.
Okay,
but I'm still waiting. So anybody in Big Bag Toy Store, if you're listening, just can you get me that figure, please? I've been waiting a while for it. It would be nice to have.
Well, hopefully you'll get it soon, because that's probably a long wait that would drive me insane. But now I'll get back to two more figures. I might be missing one, but we'll get to it in a second. But yes, others were saying it. Now that's why I was waiting for him to kind of almost be last, was Evil Seed. I was like, well, there you go. Finally, another new character. Like I said, we're getting Shadow Weaver. We're getting an Orko that to me is new. And now Evil Seed, a character that I absolutely love. Like I always told you, I like the Filmation design of him more than MYP. Not putting down MYP ones like it sucks, but it's just like I feel like it feels like a similar design I've seen in lots of other cartoons, just modified. But the Evil Seed in Filmation, whether you think his artichoke head is stupid or it's a joke, It is one hell of a unique, very creepy look, and it sure the hell caught my eye as a kid, and it's iconic. So I remember that was one of the first custom figures I made when I started doing, customs for a living. When I really wanted to go in detail, I just remember trying to put as much effort in that head as possible. So to have an official Evil Seed, I couldn't be happier. But you didn't see that photo, correct?
Oh, I haven't seen any of the early days custom stuff. You might have to just reshare that. Now, since it's been announced, maybe you should just share that photo again so I can check it out.
I will, and it's just I'm gonna keep it in mind is it's 8 years old, so or close to 8 years old, so it's gonna look probably crude when I share it. I might even share it on the Fans of Power new Facebook group. By the way, Nathan will probably create a little link or something here in the comments or in the description. I created a new group for Fans of Power, and it's not a page, but now it's a group to where we can interact. You guys can talk about anything from, well, like we always say, the comics, toys, whatever, and then it can give you ideas of things that maybe you'd want us to talk about on the show. It's quicker ways of linking and interacting. So he'll link you that, but I will post the picture there. It's crude looking, but I thought I was
Yeah,
on top of the
but
mountain when I did it.
we have to see like how Joe Amato started with his customs. I think everybody would appreciate to see that. That would be cool.
Did you want to say, hey, I think I've shown this before. If you guys want, I can grab it. It's right over here. It's the first thing I sculpted that got me started into customs. And I think I've said the story before. If you guys haven't seen it though, I can show you. And I'm not I'm proud enough to where I can show it and not be embarrassed. But hold on a second. This is oh shit, I'm almost caught myself and we're gonna have a fall right there.
Oh man. But yeah, you guys in the chat room sound off a little more about your thoughts on what they've done with this, what they've announced, what you plan to buy, what you're gonna pass on. Joe, I know you don't buy as many figures these days, but I know Evil Seed is on your list. Are there any other
Yes.
ones in this that you
Oh,
are?
I want Evil Seed. I want Shadow Weaver from that wave when that comes out. And I do want Stratos and Buzz Off. Really like them. As for the color variants, I'm not going to get those. As for this wave coming up, the ones that we did see, Orko is the main one I want. And I admit Merman and Trapjaw look good too, but I'm not going to just get a gold colored He-Man. I mean, not to sound arrogant, I could paint him myself if I wanted. And I've never flipped over the translucent figures, but I do understand the market for that. I'm in a lot of groups and I see people go nuts for translucent figures, ones that are red colored, green colored, anything you could think of. So I get the gimmick, but translucent, it's not nothing that I've ever flipped over. But I'll show quickly. I'll say the quick story. When I first started doing customs before I did mine, I seen somebody make a custom imp on eBay and it sold for like $80. And I was like, wow. I was like, you know what? I'm going to try to do this. I've never done this stuff in my life, but I'm going to try to make an imp. So I sculpted up this imp, put it up there. It sold for 75. And I was like, okay, now it's time to be serious about this. I would like to try to make a living doing this. And well, 8 years later, I am. But the person who won that imp said, Joe, can you make the 22 forms he turned into the cartoon for me? I was like, oh God. I was like, okay. I was like, well, do you want me to hold back this imp and ship it all together? He said, sure. So I sculpted them all. And as I was sculpting, my sculpting was getting better and better. And I was like, you know what I'm going to do for this guy? I'm going to sculpt a better looking imp. So I sculpted imp and I was like, hey man, what do you think of that? He's like, oh, it's great. I said, I'll tell you what, I'm going to send you that one and I'm going to keep the other one. He was like, oh man, well, thanks. So I was cool about it. But I kept this imp and I put it in this case, and it's a reminder. I'm sorry, I'm laughing. It's hey, I want you guys to butcher the hell out of me. You guys can rip me to pieces. I keep this as a reminder of where I started and where I'm at now.
I was gonna ask because when you could barely see in the frame, I'm like, did he put? Is that in a case?
Yes, I did. I have it in a case. So here is the first thing I ever sculpted and sold is my custom imp. And it's all one piece. It's a statue. It's a whole solid piece. It is a hot mess, but you know what? It's my hot mess. I love this little bastard. So I did it in like 20 minutes and painted it up. But so this is it. This is the first thing I ever sculpted and sold. But through fate, I made him a better one and kept this 20-minute hot mess that I made. I love the little bastard. So, yes, that's it. This is my first ever thing I sculpted and sold. This imp.
Okay.
Oh dear.
I mean, I don't see any issue with it. I think it looks all right.
Yeah, you half blind, but you
Just
ain't got to sugarcoat it.
just put him back in his case so you don't mess him up at all.
Oh, and Eric Amon asked, out of Super Sculpey? Yep. Coincidentally, I don't use that no more, but yes, this was made out of Super Sculpey. So, oh man, that's the little shit right there. So, when you put them back in a special collector case, yeah, so God,
One of
don't want to
hey,
drop them.
one of a kind, man. I think we're at this point now that eventually you could probably sell that for, I don't know, 25 grand.
So 25.
Joe Amato's first custom.
Well, it is. That is my first one.
Somebody
So
would do it too. Someone would be like, "Yes, I will pay $25,000 for this."
could you imagine some crazy day like that comes? It's like, hey, this guy's a famous artist. Never gonna happen. But if it did, it's like, hey, man, I'm selling this stuff and it goes for a lot. Help out with the bills. But so that's it. I'm glad I got to show it, and everybody kind of got a kick out of it. I know they're holding back. I know they would have say stuff, but I do appreciate you being nice and being easy on me. That I do appreciate that. Okay, and the last thing I think they showed was one again. I'll have to ask Grimbot what it was from. I was thinking it looked like it was clear He-Man, like he's casted clear, but I think his harness, I don't think that was clear. The only thing I could think of was when he was crushing the diamond ray of disappearance and he started turning invisible or transparent. That's the other one that's going to be a part of another wave. So again, it's another He-Man, but
God,
transparent. So
why?
I just
So many variants. I don't want to get like Tyler on everybody, but man, like who at Super 7 is like, you know what? Yeah, I think they're gonna like this. And yeah, there are those collectors out there that, as you said, are digging that. They're super into the translucent figures, but I guess I understand it from the viewpoint of, all right, well, you want that variant because, as Super 7 has stated, yes, this is the character like transformed in this episode. To that degree, I get it, but other than that, it's like who asked for this shit? Honestly, like, well, do
I
they
never heard a
take?
poll just to let.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
never
Are
been.
there ever like surveys or any like? Does that show up on the org forums? Does anyone pop up like, hey, what would you guys really like to see? And blah blah blah. And it's like, no, we're gonna do the variants. Like, who is making? Is it all Brian that's making that decision, or where is that coming from?
I couldn't tell you. I just
No.
know that. No, I mean, really, I don't know. I'm sure that you're right. Now that they're doing as seen on TV figures, as I like to call it, because basically, yes, filmation characters. They probably are going through the library, making sure they've seen everything in every episode of what things look like to get, again, a lot of use out of that mold to at least get some money back, which I do understand. It's just, for me, it's a little too much. It's like, okay, there's a difference between a variant and a redeco, which is just like, a redesigned color version. You got to think back in the day for He-Man and Masters of the Universe. We had variants, not redesigned colors, but variants. We had Battle Armor He-Man, Thunder Punch He-Man, Flying Fist He-Man, and for the lucky people, international people, they got the laser light and the laser power variants of He-Man and Skeletor. But what made those special is they still felt like completely different characters. I mean, the Battle Armor, I couldn't tell you how cool that crazy gimmick was. The regular He-Man couldn't do that, but bam, you seen the damage. Thunder Punch. What kid back in the day in the 80s didn't love a cap gun? I mean, always just hearing that popping and smelling, and you even smacking like, a rock or a hammer on those cap strips. We love that stuff. And Flying Fist was cool, and, well, I didn't get to experience laser until years later, but that Thunder Punch, it's probably my favorite He-Man variant. But it's not like they said, okay, let's give you a completely gold He-Man, a different colored He-Man. He-Man. We didn't get that back in the day. We had actual variants. So variants sometimes are usually for me a little more tolerable because at least it seems like a new character. But redesigned colors, redecos, I just don't go nuts for them. It's like I don't flip over just a simple paint job or a cast of, something in a different color. It's not my thing.
Oh, it's just most of that stuff is what kills toy lines anyway, and Mattel has always been notorious for it. If it was Masters or gosh, especially since like the 2000s when they've had their DC properties, it's just, and even Kenner was guilty of this. It's like, how many versions of Batman do I need? Like it's to me, the variant and redecos that you mentioned, they always seem to be the things that it's like the grandparents or walking down the aisle and it's like, oh well, Billy's birthday is next weekend, and he likes that bat guy. We'll just get him one of these, and it's I don't know, because that's the only thing that's on the shelf, because most of that stuff just ends up being peg warmers that end up getting discounted. Granted, this is entirely different, which also makes less sense of why they're going this route. I mean, obviously it is a cash grab, but at the same time, it's like you're not in all these stores in the country. Like you are playing to a core fan base that is ordering online. I don't know. I don't get that mentality of, all right, well, we have this mold. Let's just, how can we use more of it? It's like, I feel like everyone would appreciate it more if they started to do more stuff like an Evil Seed or a Shadow Weaver. And hey, what are some of these other characters that either had poor designs that didn't match Filmation? How can we do that and fix it and make it more accurate and release that instead? And it's like, no, they need another Man at Arms. Like, I just I don't get it.
Well, the one thing, first I want to say hello to JD Gibson. Thank you for joining us. But, I got to give it to him again. This isn't, like we said, something to where you had to go all in and get all the subs to get that certain figure, meaning you have to get all these, other redesigned colors or transparents. You don't have to.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for this, like, next wave, I mean, you are getting a Merman, a Trapjaw, a Prince Adam, which they better change that damn head, and an Orko. you are getting some cool new characters, and then you're getting these kind of like other things, a gold one and 2 transparents. And then the next wave, you're going to get a Shadow Weaver, you're getting Buzz Off, you're getting Stratos, you're getting Evil Seed, which all 4 of them bastards are great. And if I have the money, God hoping I do, I'm going to get them all. But as for those other variant colored things, I'm not going to get them. But like we said, it's their way of at least getting a little money back. It's figured, well, what the hell? We have them all. Let's do it. Hopefully it can make us more money. And then with that, it can go into making and creating new characters, more new characters. That's what you at least hope. So it's like I said, it's not like I'm shitting on these. I'm not saying that by any means. I'm just saying it's not my thing.
Joe, you're already not wearing your pants, man. If you want to feel free and squat down and just take a shit on it, man. If you yeah. I don't know. I get it. I get it at the same time. I don't get it. Like, I understand the business perspective. Like, you have to make the money to be able to make more. But at some point, you got to, I don't know, step out of that comfort zone. It's like you're going to reach a certain point where people aren't going to want those anymore. And then be like, oh, well, we're going to have to stop making them. Why did the line die? And it's like, well, how many versions of Tila do you really need?
And just hopefully, like I said, it wouldn't be costing them too much extra money. But that's why I'm honestly saying it here for them to hear, anybody, if you'd like to say what you think about it. But that's why I'm saying don't waste the extra paint apps on the characters that don't need them, like those clear Man-at-Arms, Tila, and I think even He-Man. I think that's what Grimbot said. But don't waste the paint apps. You can actually save money. Don't use it on that. Just use it for one character that needs it. It is Prince Adam. It's such a, it's weird. It's a difference of what paint does. I mean, a little paint can just completely change the face of a character. And that Dead Eyes Prince Adam figure that I keep talking about, he looks so different. If you guys haven't seen it, I posted it on my wall on Facebook, and I'll share in the Fans of Power Facebook group as well. But what a difference just by putting in the whites and just by putting the white for his mouth. He looks like he's alive. He doesn't have that just nothing expression like Michael Myers.
And I guess that's the other thing in terms of that. Why aren't these guys sort of reaching out to, someone like you or someone like Tyler in regards to like, oh, well, here's the story stuff. Here's what, like, reach out to Joe Amato. This guy will help you make things a little more accurate and not look so dead in the eyes, as you stated with Prince Adam.
And that's why I do the posts. That's why when I do any of my Photoshop jobs and I try to share everywhere, and I say it constructively, and I'll share it in many of the groups to see just what people think. And this one, a lot of people did agree. I mean, they haven't agreed with everything I posted. I know that. I wouldn't expect that. But this one, I think they at least understand and got the gist of it. So I can't remember when they're coming out. Like I said, I know that the pre-orders end on them on February 28th. I don't know if they're going to ship the next month or the month after. But, yeah, I'm just crossing my fingers hopefully they didn't do all the paint apps. Maybe. Yeah. I actually don't know.
Well, the other thing with Prince Adam, too, with the as seen on TV version, is that Prince Adam also coming with like that pink purple-ish,
which he did sword. There you go.
And see that, like, if you guys are going to do this, make it accurate. Like, why? It just seems very inconsistent.
Right. That's, I mean, sometimes it's like you're getting the stuff of vintage figures, but then you're getting, as seen on TV, it's like you got to pick one or the other. If I'm wanting a scene on TV, meaning that's what I want. I don't want the pink sword. I want it to look like TV. Just like I think I didn't get the He-Man that came out, but I thought when they did that vintage style He-Man, I couldn't remember if they did the solid bracers, but the actual buckle looked like the vintage figure, or vice versa, or if they were all fleshed out. But I knew there was something that drove me nuts on that vintage He-Man. I was like, he should be solid everywhere. It shouldn't have any extra details here, or on his belt buckle. And he also suffers from the dead eyes because they were making it like the vintage Dead Eyes He-Man, which for that character works. He looks like he's a badass ready to kick butt. And that's how the figure was. But when the cartoon came and they started, you know what I mean? The
No,
cartoon
I know.
came,
It's funny how you just said he looked like a badass ready to kick butt. It just made me laugh because I was like, well, you just said ass and then you said
hey,
butt.
I guess that's my way of not being too repetitive, because you know how I repeat things
Right.
5,000 times. So it would have been kicking ass and he's a badass. But no, when it comes to Filmation, yeah, that's when you got to add in the extra details. So, but I think that covered most all the figures. So anybody right now in the chat room, it's your time to ask us any questions you want. And if you want it to be about these figures and your thoughts about them, if you like the variants, or if you would like, redesigned colors or something you'd like to see, shoot it in here. We'll try to answer it and get to that, because it was kind of like, a quick episode. We figured
Yeah.
it would be, since we're just talking about those figures. But well, still, if there's anything you want to ask us about anything, pop it up and we'll get to it. But I can kind of pass it to you, Nathan, if you wanted to say anything before some stuff
Well,
might pop up in the chat room.
Well, I wanted to say, obviously, it's easy for us or anybody else to sit here and just be like, why aren't they doing this? Why aren't they doing that? And I'm sure, like, they're at their headquarters, they probably do realize it, and they probably are facing a little heat in different directions, but they're doing the best that they can, I would assume, anyway. I'm sure they're not just being, like, lazy and half-assed about it, even though sometimes we could assume as such based off of what they're doing, but I'm sure they're trying as best they can to bring a solid product to everybody. So I don't mean to sound kind of harsh to them and pose these questions, but at the same time, maybe they do need to be hit a little bit harder with that, just so at least at some point maybe we could get a real answer. Well, this is why, and break it down for everybody and make it seem a little more understandable. And it's not just like, oh, here's this again. It's like, all right.
Well, it's what you said right there. It's being constructive about it. You can't always expect everything to be, rainbows and gumdrops and perfect. You got to have that criticism so you can learn from things and try to, what, I might take that to heart. Maybe I could, and go with this and change this. But if you just go with thinking everything's perfect, or thinking everybody is so damn negative you don't want to listen to them, that's just two extreme sides. You got to have that middle ground to understand when there's a balance. And that's what we just try to do, is just bring a balance. But well, I'll get a couple things here in the chat room. Delvis said, Joe, you ever think of starting your own figure line? Hey, would it be cool of making unique, crazy things?
You should. I think you should, honestly, because you and I were talking about how you would come up for new bios for characters and you write all that stuff out. You should do that. Make your own little world and roll with that and do it in your free time.
It'd be different.
I think you should.
Maybe one day I will expand and try to think about actually doing my own figure line, something completely different. It could be cool. I don't know if it'll happen, anytime soon, but I do like that and appreciate it. Redline says, why in blazes haven't you applied for a consulting role at Super7, Joe? No, hey, like I said, if they want me, I'm here. You know how I do this with the fans, you guys here and on Facebook. That's all I do is interact. So I'm absorbing information not only on my wall, but everywhere in all these groups. So I definitely I know what's happening in every single kind of aspect of the fandom. But Grimbot said, Joe, what say you about Trapjaw having gray eyes like the Mohawk or on his helmet? Wait, what was that? What say you about Trapjaw having gray eyes like the Mohawk? I didn't know. Did he? I didn't even. Did he have gray eyes? I don't know. I know he has his Mohawk gray part on the helmet for vintage. I guess I didn't look close enough if that's what you meant about this Filmation one. I did not look. Delvis said to you, Nate, ever think of coming up with your own 8-bit style game?
No, but the game already exists. It's called Tapper. It's on Atari 2600 and arcade. You know what I'm talking about, Joe? No, you don't know what Tapper is? It's basically like like the bartenders throwing beers down like all these different avenues. And you got to like go and catch them all.
Yeah, that'd be you playing the games at nighttime. So
yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, so Tags Media Animation Review says, how do you guys feel about the new direction Loyal Subjects Masters look compared to Wave 1? It's different. They have, like you said, their legs are longer and now a little more articulated. The even just everything feels different about them. I don't mind it, but I know some people were pissed thinking, why couldn't they stayed with the same, like look of the original Wave 1 figures? Because now things look out of scale. Some people feel like, oh man, it feels like two different lines. I think they still look cool, but I can understand the people that, yes, when they want some kind of consistency with the design of a figure, but they're cool, but I do see what you mean on that. JD Gibson says, hope we can see at Toy Fair the 5.5 Tila closer to final product. Yeah, I'm sure we're going to see a lot more of that stuff as well. Jeff Prime says, guys, do you think Super 7 are burning through the heavy hitters in these waves too quickly and could end the line too quickly? I don't think so. I think they could keep it fresh, Jeff. I would hope so. That's why I guess maybe that's why they throw in these variants once in a while. I figure, hey, you're getting 4 new characters and 3 kind of variant different things. So there's plenty of stuff. I mean, Jesus, they can hit anything from the mini comics, the cartoon. I mean, there's a lot to make. So I don't think they'll do it. Plus, not having to lump in from one giant thing and you can buy them at your leisure. I'm hoping it keeps going. At least I'd like to, because I love seeing the vintage style. It's my favorite out of all of them. Zentron said, here's his movie quote. Oh, Bob, do I have any openings that this man might fit? Oh, I know that one. That was History of the World. That's what the Nympho Queen said to... yeah, I do not... See, I know that, Zentron. Sorry, but I do know. Okay.
All the power to you, Joe.
Okay, Tags Media says, Joe, most of your horror masters of the universe look better than the Funko. Again, I appreciate the compliment, but there's, like I said, I know I've been doing those things for years, and some people said, hey man, they took your idea. And I'm not saying that's what you're saying, Tags, but I've had some people say, they stole your idea. I was like, not really. I know that I'm not the only person in the history of the world that ever thought of taking and combining 2 toy lines. But I love what Funko did with these horror figures because it's a fantasy twist. So it's unique. And I do appreciate that, Tags. That does mean a lot. But I do love what Funko did with those horror figures, as I know you do, Nathan, because I know you bought them too. And Sportimus, Sportimus.
Bought them all. I hope they find a way to maybe have a wave 2 and just do, I don't know, shit off the top of my head. I think Ghostface would look kind of cool if they did it. Granted, I'm not like a huge fan of the Scream films, but I hope they'll do something else to sort of incorporate those characters, because that wave was awesome and looked cool.
You could get Candyman. They could do like little smaller versions of Chucky, maybe a little mini buff Chucky or something. I think that could look kind of twisted. There's a lot of cool things I think they could do.
Yeah. Now I'm sitting here thinking about just what other characters.
Do Pumpkinhead have Pumpkinhead?
Oh, yes. That would be awesome. That would be really cool, actually.
Yeah, I'm eating up whatever the hell Funko puts out. I just don't get it. It's like they're putting out some crazy stuff. But thank you for that one. Delta 70 said, Joe, if you were ever to do your own line, will you keep the body sculpts like the vintage? Well, I thought you meant along the lines of just completely new. Like if I ever did a new line, it would be just something different. I wouldn't copy master style, but yeah. Oh, and Fedmon said I should have this on live chat, not top chat. Damn, how the hell do you know I don't have that? Hold on. Is it put things in a different order?
It does a bit, but not by much.
Okay, I'm going to see if I kind of caught back up. I just switched. Okay, JD Gibson says, Joe, you live about 2 hours from me and Dan Rice. Would you ever meet for lunch sometime? I think everybody knows the answer to that. You're never going to see me in person. You guys, I'm not letting people down. You just, I guess, keep with the mystique of this here. You don't want to see me, but I appreciate it, because don't get me wrong, JD Gibson. I'd love to.
Yeah, but what if he was paying though?
Well, free food, I can't pass on some free food. So
now you're at an impasse. What are you gonna do? It's like you can still wear the mask.
Yeah, sitting there, then I have to cut a hole so I get my big ass lips through here so I can eat. And
free food, though, Joe. Free food.
Exactly, but yeah, like I said, I'd love to meet all you guys. I mean, you guys are also damn awesome. But let me see. Jeff Prime said still waiting on the Conan line. You know, it's weird. I actually forgot about those, but you're right. That's the other thing I want to see are those Funko Conan figures, because I'm going to buy them all up. You will, and I know Tyler's going to. Yeah. Yeah. And
hopefully soon. There hasn't been like a... We assumed that it was going to be, because it was sort of falling in line. Here are the the horror movie ones. Here's the Thundercats, and we just assume that these guys would have been coming out around
Yeah,
December, and
I
nothing.
thought. I mean, we might be getting the next wave of Thundercats before the Conan. I don't know. And Redline. Knock on wood again. I'm gonna do it. So knock on wood. He was saying, except if I sneezed on a Funko product, it would shatter into 100 pieces. I luckily have not had that shattering problem that some people said they were getting with some of the Thundercat figures. I don't know if they said it about the horror, but I guess that hip, that the socket part on some of them was breaking in there, and I mean it sucks. Like I said, we even experience it with a lot of the other toy lines. It's just hopefully they can work out those kinks because you don't want to spend $9 to $12 on the Funko and they break, or $20 on Super 7 and they break it. It's disheartening, but I guess it's baby steps of them learning out certain things and the plastics and the whole process. I don't know. I'm not trying to make excuses for anybody, but it does suck when your product breaks.
Yeah, I haven't had any issues with it though. I did see with the Mortal Kombat ones, they had the Scorpion Chase figure at Target, and his leg was just laying in the package. And I was like, I mean, I'm sure that probably pop in all right, but I'm not going to take my
Well,
chances on it.
well, that's what I mean. I didn't know how some were. Like at first, when I thought some people were talking about the legs popping off, I thought they literally meant just pop off because they are on sockets where you can pop the legs and arms off easily. But some people had the unfortunate breakage to where you would see the socket with the peg in the leg laying off to the side, and then at the one end of that peg it was broke and it was stuck inside the figure. It's like, oh, now you're done. Just like when I had my RoboCop from NECA do that years ago. I was like, oh, there went RoboCop's leg, I can't do nothing. And you had that happen.
That actually happened to mine as well. I got mine glued back, so he is very stationary now. But yeah, it's unfortunate when those happen. And the NECA figures are notorious because there's so many moving pieces to it that if it hits the ground, damage will be done for sure.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
it's heartbreaking. It really is. I've had some of my Army of Darkness figures fall over, and like Ash's chainsaw like broke off from there, and I still haven't glued that back because I've been lazy about it. But it's a shame. It really is. It's cool that they have that much detail, but there needs to be something that makes it a little more sturdy.
Yeah, especially when there wasn't tons of articulation on some of them, you think it would hold up better. Because I know a lot of these figure lines, the others that have tons of those points of articulation, they seem like they just get all real wobbly and loose and just fall over and they turn to crap. But
yeah,
like I said, for the most part, everything has been good with them. And first, another thing is, I know it looks like I kind of froze there on the screen and I just went to blackness, but my internet speed was slightly increased through a little promotion for a year, so I might be able to move a little smoother than normal.
I've been watching, at least on my end on here anyway. I don't know how it's came out on the stream itself, but for me, I think you're moving better.
Yeah, some parts might have sucked, but otherwise, yes, I just watched some things when I moved in slow motion. It seemed like it was good. I don't know, but I think I acknowledged everybody in the chat room. And Nathan, if there's anything you wanted to plug or do that before we wrap it up, we can, because then I'll say everything to the people in the chat room.
Boy, do I. Check out all the links down below. Download this on Podbean or iTunes. Encourage those guys that download us in that form. Hop on over to Fans of Power YouTube channel, youtube.com/Fans of Power Podcast. Check out Beyond Retro Podcast at our new URL at youtube.com/Beyond Retro Podcast, because we finally hit 100 subscribers. I did a 6-hour video game stream last night playing some Super Nintendo, and that was a lot of fun, but I got very drunk. Hence the name Beyond Retro Drunkade. So check out that stuff. Check out Kevin Sharp's artwork. Check out Axel's artwork. All the links are down below in the description. And Joe, I need to retroactively, probably after we're done with this, add the link to that Facebook page, the group.
Yeah, because that's why I wanted to do it. I figured anybody else here in the chat room, they can then join that page. We could still, always, shoot and spitball stuff back and forth there and just have fun in general. But then it's a good direct link from there to come here, vice versa, and just keeps us all interactive. Because I mean it when I say it all the time. I love having you guys here in the chat room and interacting, all your questions, your comments. It's just fun. It's us hanging out. And I'm so glad that I finally have the energy back like I used to. And now that all these things have gotten better that I've went through for around the 8 months, it's such a weight off my shoulders, and I feel so much better that those things, like I said, are better now and just getting better. So it makes me more energetic like I used to be. And some people have acknowledged in the chat room they've kind of heard that in my voice and they can tell as well.
Yeah, I
So
mean, yeah, you can. It is a noticeable difference to not only them but
yeah,
to me as well.
yeah. And it'll be great
You
when
sound jazzed. You sound ready to go. You look like you can go fisticuffs with a grizzly bear.
I could do it. I'm glad you said that. I thought you were going to say something else completely. I'm not going to say because it would be dirty on the show.
Wait, where'd you think I was going with it? Now I have to know.
You always bring up the hot. You always bring up the hot topic girls, and I thought you were going to say something, but no, that's cool. So we'll leave it. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah, it's probably. But now, see, now you got me thinking. If you guys want to sort of know what we're talking about, when I started my 6-hour stream last night, Joe had been heckling me. Hey, you're going to stream right between 10 and 11. I started. I want to say about 9 o'clock or 9:30. And about an hour or so passed. I'm like, where's Joe? I even messaged him. I called him even while I was doing it. I called him on Messenger. It's like I left him a message like, Joe, where are you? And then he pops in about 10:45 and he's like, yeah, I just got home. I was like, what were you doing, Joe? And he never told me, so I just made up my own story. So you guys go and check that out.
Yep. Hey, you know what's funny? I just hit refresh and I seen that people were sitting there making all these comments. When I went to live chat, I don't know why, but my thing stopped. I didn't see people commenting for at least, I don't know, 6-7 minutes, and I might have missed a whole lot. Now I feel bad. I'm sorry if I missed all your guys' extra comments. I look at this, all this shit they were doing. They were posting a bunch of stuff. Like they were saying, hey, they could do Jigsaw, Hannibal Lecter, Pennywise, any Toy Fair predictions from Sportimus said that. I think after all these,
I feel like that would mostly just be the stuff that's leaked, right? Would there be any extra? Do you think they would throw more extra stuff?
Well, they got to be showing some collector choice figures for classic style. So we'll probably see maybe hopefully a new adventure character. Maybe there would be some bombshell of an announcement that they somehow finally got the 87 movie rights and are starting to make some more characters off of that we never got before. Maybe Joe's long dream come true of this classics line. They'll finally show their first ever Meteorb. Will it happen? Probably not, but
nope.
That could be pretty awesome. Yeah, nope. Yeah, probably wouldn't. Well, hey, for Sportimus says, would you want to see the Masters Universe vintage 5.5 figures sold at Target or Walmart? Well, hell yeah. I mean, they've already popped up in some of those FYEs and other stores. I wouldn't see why they couldn't pop up there. And not only would we be able to see them and snatch them up, but maybe the people who have not known about Masters being back, who maybe don't go to websites, and I know it sounds crazy, you figure it's social media, it's the internet, everybody does. No, they don't. So they might just be browsing in a toy aisle and like, holy hell, is that He-Man? Or, oh my God, there's Trap Jaw. And
no, I would feel like it's mostly like, oh, hey, there's He-Man. Oh, there's Skeletor. And that's where they get the idea of like, well, that's the only thing people want. Let's give them more of those.
Don't say that. But it would be great if they could see that stuff and reinvigorate their, passion, and maybe they want to start collecting. And Wiley Walt joined us. See, I even missed that when we were doing it. Hey, Wiley Walt.
That just popped up. Wiley Walt.
Oh, did it?
Wiley Walt just popped in the chat.
Okay, all right, because I was just I'm scrolling down. I want to make sure I think I might have got everybody now. I hope so. There. Okay, so guys, it was great. And I hope you're here next week, because we got to have you here next week. And Tyler will be returning. We'll get back into some more lore.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
We can't. I don't want to make any promises because you know, Joe, you're hyping it up, and now like Tyler it could be like Friday, and Tyler's like, well, I don't feel like doing it.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, like I said, he's now that we're not going to be talking about these figures again, maybe he'll be like, okay, cool. Now we get back into talking about the mini comics, cartoons, bios, and all this other stuff. But we'll see. Hopefully, he'll be relaxed. But I'm going to just say now, until next time, have a powerful day.
Dude, you couldn't get a chick if you had $100 bill hanging out of your zipper.
Let me guess, is this another one of your basketball quotes?
Yes.
You're always do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I had to.
Okay, and I just figured it had to be because you've been quoting it so much, so I probably didn't even know when it happened.
Just a little softball for you. I wanted you to get it right. Well, we'll just put it at that.
Thank you. So
I wasn't trying to trick you.
No, there you got. Well, I at least got it. But see you next time, guys.
See ya.